even stand because I'm wearing awesome shoes. I'm sorry you can't see them. Yeah. All right. Hello, everyone. So I'm Mattie Brice. If you don't know me, I do some writing and developing, and I also have been going around talking about diversity in games at a lot of conferences and companies. But and it's one of my favorite things of doing right now in games is traveling and talking to new people. In particular, I actually really love talking with people outside of games. There's a lot of people who are like media activists, software developers, educators, or just people who just happened to be walking by a game jam and wanted to, see what was going on. And it's always fun to see that, oh, there's something going on with games. People like games. Yeah, no, it's great. And because I'm usually there as someone who's talking about usually minoritized people, queerness in games, people always ask me, what does it mean to be a queer developer? What is queer writing? What's a queer game? Or the much more loaded question, what does queerness have to offer to games? And most of these are, they're usually very benign interests. People are just, very surprised that, on the outside, wow, there's a diverse group of people who play and make games and talk about games. I didn't know this. Can you inform me? In all honesty, I think they're not even just asking about queerness in games. They're asking why they should care about games at all. So what I've been seeing, these past couple of years is that I think queer-identified people are also thinking this about games. What do we care about it when we see what's going on? We kind of have our own, mistakes that are going on in the industry. It's not uncommon for Twitter storms to happen. I always kind of feel like we need like a hurricane watch for Twitter. Shelter people who might be a little fragile. But here we're all gathered for our passion for play. And we know that things aren't great. But we're here because we want to make that better. So what exactly do I tell these people? Well, making games for personal expression isn't exactly a new thing. Some of my favorite artists like Tale of Tales and Mary Flanagan have been doing wonderful work in personal expression. And then, kind of DIY games, weird games have been made for decades, like using things like ZZT and other cool things like Storyweaver. Did anyone else play Storyweaver by chance? It was like a cool writing game. I really liked it. Exploration of politics has been going on in folk games last century. And there's even, if anybody might have heard of Nordic LARP. Anybody know what Nordic LARP is? Yeah, there's Nordic LARP that's been going on that has been doing great exploration in gender and sexuality and kind of playing with those roles. So here's what I think. I think that there isn't a coincidence that there's a surge of queer artists, queer stories, queer games going on right now. I think it's because we're at the point where no one can ignore us anymore. We blog, we tweet, we tumble, we live stream, we podcast. When the broader conversation of games moved from private events and magazine subscriptions to the internet and social media, I think that a culture is forced to acknowledge that we are here. And not even that like we just arrived, that we've always been here. And so I don't think anyone can pretend anymore that no one wants diverse range of stories or representation in games. It's just not a thing anyone can put down anymore. And that we do care, and we're actually going to stick around to make sure that these sort of things happen. And and I think our lesson to games as a medium is that we're challenging this idea that there's this one narrative to games, that there is this one gamer, there's like these one interest or this overall thing, but rather there's a huge variety that people fall into. So let's look at games that are, mostly from mainstream, sources and compare it to the work surrounding queer DIY artists. To me, in the past couple of years, something that one side looks rather monochromatic and yet it looks kind of colorful. And I think it's because queerness isn't and never should be interested in being the wholly queer perspective, you know, capital Q, this is what queer looks like. I think it's an acknowledgement that we all have our own individual paths, that we're a group, you know, this whole school of fish, all different, moving together, but all individuals with our own past and history. And then we all understand that we are our own unique patches, and together, you know, we make a vibrant image. And also sometimes a safety quilt. Because queerness to me also means community. It means encouraging each other to shine brighter, to no matter how outcast or outside you feel, that you are okay. I don't think many of us would be here right now if it wasn't for the struggles that came before us, for the safe spaces that were created for us to survive. For other people who are friends and probably new family, individuals can't stand on their own. Maybe as queer people who play games, we had a double dose of this. Maybe when we were younger, we were outcast, both for our interests and for who we are. We know how important it is to lift each other up, to bond together through our own personal growth. I think many people might have forgotten how vital it is to have a space for outcasts, for the marginalized. And I don't think we have, and that's going to make us stronger. I'm going to put it plainly. Since we know how important it is to be out and proud, those of you who are here and out, you need to speak up. You need to make your voices heard. Create a space for those who cannot risk their safety yet. We all know what it's like to be silenced, and we all know what it's like to be bullied and threatened. If you are now a person who can speak freely, you need to act. And you know what? It's super easy. Make games. Games are so easy to make right now. There's an increasing amount of tools that don't require, programming or any other sort of knowledge besides your own creativity. Like make a card game. All you need are index cards to practice. Or find twine. All you need to know what to do is to type. Or if you're a little bit more savvy, go and mod something and I don't know, make everyone gay. Something. Right. Also, set up a WordPress. Go on Tumblr. Get on Twitter. Write down your thoughts of your own unique perspective. Don't allow larger voices to dominate the conversation. Lovingly criticize the things that you enjoy and demand better from the industry. Share what is meaningful for you. Do fan works like fan art and fan fiction, or whatever your imagination can come up with. It wasn't until I saw authors online who insert queer narratives into the media that I liked that I thought that I was worth noticing, that I should be considered and okay and worth celebrating. We need everyone here and people all over to craft and share their own personal connections with games and play and how it feels right to them. Don't let the chosen few represent you. This, to me, is what queerness brings to the table. The opportunity for all people to share their connection and express themselves. And I know this might come off as extremely anti-establishment, and it is. But I want to stress how important it is to not feel shameful to our connections to popular media. Games have spoken to all of us in a way that made the medium special in our hearts, despite its many missteps. We care deeply for something that we know is broken, and now we're trying our best to fix things. Keep things complicated. Some people need to completely detach, and others want to work from within. We all have the same goal, and that we all can be who we want and have the media that speaks to us meaningfully. We must work both on and against for what we want. If you are here, you know it. You don't get to cruise on in life. You have to struggle for it. And even as I stand here and call for this sort of action to push us and to create for all of our spaces, I can't help to remember the first person who flirted with me and made me feel desirable. It was a computer character. It was a computer character from a popular game written by someone who I'm sharing the stage with right now. And that's silly. It's silly, I know. But I think a lot of people here know what I'm talking about. You know what it means to feel when a game acknowledges who you are, respects it, and responds as if that was okay. And that character will always, hold a special place in my heart, even if he was virtual and broke up with me. However, these moments are so far and few in between. I will never settle for breadcrumbs. We cannot settle for breadcrumbs. Even if those breadcrumbs are the fanciest and most tasty, delicious breadcrumbs we've ever had, we cannot settle. We deserve more and we must demand for more. So I implore you to take this time to talk to one another and learn. This convention can only happen because people fought it to make it so. Know that when you leave and go back home, that you as an individual, you and your story matter, and we need to hear it. Games need to hear it, the world needs to hear it. Know that whatever cool queer games you see or cool queer developers you meet, no matter how accomplished they seem, they rely on community to survive. And I can't think of anything I want more than more voices. More people creating, that is my dream. So don't take this for granted. Make your voices heard. Sing. And together, they won't be able to ignore our song, and that they can't help but join in, creating a place where all people and games are welcome. Thank you, and make sure to have fun.